So I'm talking to Dizzy Spell, theatre maker, maker of theatre and Manics fan. Dizzy, obviously you're, I'm guessing, way too young to have kind of experienced the Holy Bible in real time.
Yeah.
So how did a record like that enter your life?
It was actually, I was being typical me and complaining that there was nothing out there to inspire me.
When would this have been?
This was, I was in Camden, it must have been when I was about 15, 16. And a drag artist friend of mine went, shut up and listen to this. So I listened to it the first time through and I was like, what's that? It's a load of noise. And then I listened to it the second time and there was little references that I was catching that I'd read in books, and being a massive bibliophile, that really impressed me. And then 2 or 3 times listening to that album, I just thought, wow, there's something here that I've not heard in any other band, from any other album. It was just that moment where it just completely blows you away.
So the Holy Bible itself, you say that it was like nothing you'd ever heard before, and kind of quite a mind-blowing record. Could you kind of pinpoint, apart from the literary references, what it was about it that made it so special?
It was, I'd always felt like an underdog, and this was sort of a soundtrack to the underdog generation. It was that moment where you're just like, hang on a minute, I've had that thought, hang on a minute, that's exactly how I feel. And although I'd had moments, especially with punk records, because I was a teenager and it was all that angst where I'd thought, yeah, that's exactly how I felt, it didn't feel as superficial as, say, Pretty Vacant from the Sex Pistols, which of course you sit and listen to and think, yeah, I'm pretty vacant. It cut at a much deeper level. It was a case of, this is actually a reflection of my psyche.
And did the fact that it was already, quite a sort of old, out-of-date record by the time you encountered it, make it even more precious to you? Because presumably other people around you were not listening to things like that.
Well, no, but my mum was a punk, my dad was a skinhead, so I'd grown up around older music anyway, so I'd always looked to older music. My mum basically indoctrinated me into Adam Ant before I could talk. So I had always been taught that music was better 70s, 80s, 90s than it was my day. I grew up, I did my secondary education in Scotland. There isn't so many alternative culture groups in Scotland, so the punks, the goths, the moshers, whatever, all hung around together. I was the only punk in my school, so it was that case of, in terms of finding my own music, it was never what other people was listening to, it was a case of, well, what are they not listening to, because I'm not like you.
So is there one song on the Holy Bible that really stands out, that is the one that, if you're going to play it to someone else, this is the one you have to hear?
Faster All the Time gets me right there, because it's a punch record. It's something that will really, really get to you. If you're going to get the Manics, you'll get that. On a personal note, if it was somebody that I knew really well and I could get to, there's so many. Yes gets, right to it. But PCP, for one, for me, it's my show-off record because I can keep up with singing it. So that's the one I usually show people with a case of, look, I can sing this. I saw an interview with James once where he said he couldn't quite keep up with it anymore, which gave me a massive ego boost.
And obviously all the Manics gigs that you would have attended would have been post-Richie. And when you see them now, and maybe they do the odd song here and there from the Holy Bible, do you almost try and project in your mind, Richie being there and try and imagine how things were, or is it just a complete distant bygone era that you can't even imagine?
I don't think you can help it. Obviously, my first Manics gig was the German Plague Lovers tour, which Richie was very, very present in, despite not being there. So it's a case of, I'm always sort of adopted by the older Manics fans in the crowd anyway, so you get the stories about Richie being there, and there's definitely an essence of Richie at every Manics gig anyway. So I think even though I got into the Manics after Richie, you very much think of the Manics as a 4-piece.